So, it's that classic introduction you've probably grown used to by now with my playthroughs. I just want to preface by saying, when I started playing this game, I thought that the game's story was probably a real-life story. I did a little bit of research from my briefest of research, and from the ending of the game, I do believe it is actually fictitious. It is just a narrative written for the game, but I'm sure it was inspired by real-life sentiments or feelings of the authors. But I just wanted to say I do believe the story is fictitious, although as you'll see, it was very immersive. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. So, oh man, not only do I really hope OBS works this time, I also hope I don't get a delivery during the stream, because when I tried streaming yesterday, OBS was not working, and I got a delivery like almost immediately when I started. Let's hope that doesn't happen today. Alright. I won't be speaking too much, because I'm letting my voice kind of rest. It's just been a bit strained recently, but I'll make the occasional comment. And let's begin. Apparently this game's only an hour and a half. Let's see if I manage to beat it in that time. My audio is on. Good. It's keyboard controls, as I expected.
Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide.
You're welcome.
My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda.
Did the game just pause when I looked away? I was looking at OBS to make sure the sound balance was okay, but I think it paused the game.
Now these games mean a lot
I hope
to
it's
me.
good.
I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
It's interesting. This game very much feels like it's gonna kind of hold your hand the whole time, which I kind of appreciate. very linear, or so it seems right now. Fuck, that scared me. Whisper machine status.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
I don't think the door's open. Coda, what am I supposed to do? I don't think any door's open. I think I just keep walking.
You can click to fire the gun.
Thank you. That makes me think something's gonna pop out. This looks dangerous. Let's go this way. I can't go there because of his floating materials, which seems to be a trend already. Right. Why is it so dark?
Security call reached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Guess he wasn't expecting people to look down. Interesting. Reminds me of some games where if you get really high up, you can like see the corners of the world. Open. There we go. Okay.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it. Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Okay, I'm gonna pause right here. I'm probably gonna take more than an hour and a half to beat this game, but not too much. So, big spoiler for anyone who hasn't finished the Mass Effect trilogy. At the end of Mass Effect 3, you're given options. You can destroy the Reapers, which is what your objective was the entire time.
Point. Unfortunately, the only option is to step into the beam.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm speaking over the game. Okay. So, at the end of Mass Effect, like, the whole game is building up to you defeating the Reapers. You can make the decision to defeat the Reapers, like you blow them up or something. It's been a while, I forgot. I think you blow them up. You can join their side, basically. Or there's, like, a third option where you, like, incorporate organic and, like, robotic life or whatever, and, like, create, like, a new generation of life in the universe, and the Reapers don't attack that or something. Again, it's been a while. But the point is, to destroy the Reapers, it heavily, heavily implies that you, as Commander Shepard, will die in order to destroy the Reapers. Now, playing the game, I realized that is definitely what Shepard's character would have done. Shepard would have sacrificed himself to do the objective that Shepard was trying to do the whole time, to defeat the Reapers. Now, me, I was particularly playing FemShep, very fond of Jennifer Hale's portrayal of FemShep. I was very attached to Shepard, and I didn't want Shepard to die. So, per the suggestion of the friend who was playing with me, or watching as I played, I had a save point before that. I did the middle option, like incorporating bio, robotic life, whatever, and was a little, I don't know, I felt a little unsatisfied. Like, that option just didn't feel right. So I went back, I did defeat the Reapers. Again, it heavily implies Shepard dies, but the way you interpret it, you could interpret it that maybe Shepard actually does somehow live at the end. But, oh man. this reminds me of it. Like, there's not the whole trilogy building up to this moment right now. But, like, if you're attached to the character, it makes it so hard to let them die. Versus a moment like this, I'm like, yeah, whatever, this is the point. Like, I'm
Let me
not
pause here for a
torn up
second.
about this.
What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
So, like, it feels weird throwing yourself into death, but it's a virtual video game. It's not Shepard. I'm not torn up about it. It's interesting how that is. But apparently Shepard just ascends. It's an interesting bug.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Interesting. I did think it could almost be interpreted as, like, ascending. Like, you did die. But, yeah. The past was behind her. Okay, I don't know if this is a bug, but I can't move. Okay, my keyboard still works. But I can't move. Oh!
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Huh. Wow, that is a really interesting game mechanic. I don't think I've ever seen that before as a game mechanic. I mean, like, sure, being able to walk backwards, but, like, being only able...
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Interesting. So there's more to be seen as you go back. Wait, there's more that way. This reminds me of the game called Antechamber, which I haven't streamed, but I've played a little of, where there's, like, it's just a very reflective game. There's puzzles and, like, very reflective quotes on the walls like this. When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Okay, cool. This makes me think a little of, like, Zelda, I think in Ocarina of... No, not Ocarina, sorry. My god, I blinked on it. The cartoonish one. Wind Waker. You are now entering. I think there's a part in Wind Waker where you have to light lamps to, like, see this little forest basin that you're in.
And that's it.
What?
Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Why am I getting slower?
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens.
Oh god, this feels
So
like a fever
why,
dream.
If Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Is it possible to reach it by crawling? Because I'm kind of curious to try. I feel like it must be possible. But since he gave us the prompt to enter. Okay. Does the prompt enter slow me down again? No, it doesn't. So I guess he just assumed most people wouldn't want to crawl to the top. But okay. Stand on an X. Wait. Slow down! Stand on an X, staring at a bear for 3 hours. You must address and rally a group of eager press reporters. I thought that said raptors.
And nice, and filled with little ideas for games.
Ah. Start in a small room until you realize you can just walk through the walls. The game is nothing but giant blocks of text explaining
Coda
what's
would
happening.
often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Read an enemy's emails to learn how to beat them. A lot of interesting ideas. Ready, set, finish. Oh, fish. Ready, set, fish. Right.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
It's very dark. It's very dark. And I don't think this goes anywhere. I wonder if closing one door opens the next. Okay, well, I hope I didn't get myself stuck in here. Now it looks like there's a thing on this side. Thank you!
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
This was in another game, the 3 dots. It was in the shooting one, because I shot the dots and nothing happened.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Ah. Do I jump, or am I
How
just...
about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I
No, I
actually
can't.
find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it? Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
The Great and Lovely Descent. I'm guessing I want to go to that house. Whoop. There it is.
let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
I know I need to descend based on the title.
The
I
tools
just want
available
to
to
see.
the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Aha. Okay, I thought so. I don't know if I need to jump. Yeah, it doesn't look like I need to jump. It's built for me to descend on the... Okay. And I could take the shortcut, but I can tell that it's designed for me to walk down to an extent. Okay. Or that. Did one of these gates open? No, I think it just closed me in was all. Okay. I really don't like horror games, or just horror in general. And yet this feels like it's trying to go up that route. I guess I go that way, but I'm so curious to explore other places. It doesn't even let me. Okay.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a
Oof.
full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
What if you didn't know
This
that
is
and
something that
you
he and I
thought you were
used to
stuck?
argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
It does make me think. There are times I play games that just feel so inaccessible because of like they're like motion control remote puzzles or something, or like you have to click and drag something in a very specific order quickly, and I can't help but think like I love games. If I were to continue playing games until like my 80s, like at some point I might physically be unable to play games with puzzles like that. Like there is, to an extent, an accessibility feature that I think a lot of
It's the puzzle
designers
again,
don't think of.
with the exact same solution as the last time.
So anyhow, it's interesting they got into arguments about how accessible the game should be. Yeah, I sometimes think that myself.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Could just be it was simple and he liked it. I'm curious what his interpretation will be. Although maybe there's going to be more door imagery and such. Listen, speak, listen.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Oh, they're all listening. Yes, there was a world stamped with whiteness. Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Yes, there were these floating colored blocks. Funny, like, as much as I know all of these are true of this game, the one that stood out to me, even though we weren't in there for hours, was the prison. I'm gonna go with that. You there! Did you come from up above? What was up there? Oh, I should have done the whiteness. I didn't pay attention to what they said. Oh my god. And it literally says, listen, and oh man. Like, the color blended in with the wood, and I didn't realize they specifically asked what was up there. But there was a prison I spent hours in. That's the world above! You've been there! Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. That was literally the last thing I did before coming here. How did you know? No, I don't remember having to go through any puzzle. I prefer not to tell you, after all. We've only just met. Tempted to do 1, but 3 sounds interesting. I prefer not to tell you, after all. We only just met. What? But you don't understand. We are trapped here. That puzzle is our only escape. We need to get through it. You think you want to get through, but trust me, you don't. Let me describe it for you. Let me tell you all about what is over there. Alright, I'll tell you how to solve it. Describe it meaning the puzzle, or it meaning the world? What? I'll go the middle ground. Let me describe it for you. Let me tell you what about it. No, that isn't possibly enough. I need to actually be there. I cannot simply be told what it is. I must see it myself. I must escape this prison. There must be an ending. That's it? Okay. I thought at that point I would tell them. They're listening, but I can't say anything. What? What is this? Oh, they have a little stove. And it was a good point, like, we've only just met, who are you? But at the same time, like, at that point, I'm like, fine, I'll tell you, but now I can't. Do I go back? What's the point of going back? Or is, oh, this is a new area. Hello, how did you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? Yes, do you want to know how to solve it? No, I've been right here this entire time. I suggest you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved, but you can sit in the black space in the middle. What happens if I solve it? Why would I sit in the black space? Who are you? I want to ask all of these questions. One seems more interesting. What happens if I solve it? Not sure. But if I have any suspicion, what you find won't be worth what it takes to get there. You'll have— oh, that was not slow enough for me. At least me reading out loud. In my head I read faster, but I'm trying to read it out loud.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Okay, at least on my end, the music— oh, I can't change the music versus the spoken volume. The music is slightly overpowering the voice, but at least we have— oh wow, I can skip. I don't want to skip. At least we have subtitles.
It's a lamppost. Okay,
Yes, it
I
is.
can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something.
Interesting.
He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
I'm gonna say, this makes me think of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Wonder if that, to any extent, inspired him having a destination. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. Is that true? I'm curious. How do I leave notes then, if that really is how it works? Nice room? Not.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet.
Okay.
All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was
That's awesome.
actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Interesting they go dull once you read them. I was thinking if these were
But
left
it's
by real
ironic, isn't
people.
it, that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
What was I saying? He interrupted me. Oh, that if these were written by people online, I'm like, these are very normal for things left by random people online. Well, this is long. Oh. That is something someone online would say too. What's... Oh. I'll just keep walking. New room. Did I miss? Oh, I thought I missed one. These are so thoughtful, and then there's just random ones. It's a very interesting mix. Yeah, let's... Well done, all of you. It's a nice painting. I wonder if he made that? Or if he found that and put it in the game. Art. It is art. Wonder if they're talking about the piece. It does look messier as you're up close, I suppose. Speaking of, I forgot the name of the piece. It's a famous painting that consists entirely of dots, but from a distance it makes a scene of a bunch of people all dressed up at a lakeside. I think it's like Something Lake is in the title of it. It's very pretty, and there's an art museum in Chicago that has it, that I had the pleasure of being able to visit once, and it is a huge piece. Like, it takes up an entire wall, and up close it's just dots, but when you take a step back, it makes this really beautiful, detailed scene of like a bunch of people and family gathered at the lakeshore. I don't know if Lakeshore's the name of it. I forgot the name of it. If I post this on YouTube, even on Twitch actually, I can put it in the description once I find it. Interesting. This one hits hard when you know that it's the same guy writing all of these. This game's pretentious and you all suck. Okay, that seems... Oh, interesting. There's like a path, but it looks like the bottom path is just decorative. It's interesting how some of these are like embedded in the terrain and others aren't. I can walk through them, just realized. Beat the game! No, you haven't, dude.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Why is the sound getting creepy now? Downward.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
There's more. I thought, oh, he did mention there's a lamppost at the end of everything now. How do you leave notes? Says the note. Are you there? Please say something. Can't be anything. I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak. Interesting. That felt very Porn Stars Diet.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
I'm gonna say that text felt a little out of place, but we'd seen it in another game. Is this implying that porn stars are like zoo animals? Because if this is like the first thing we see after that title, that's kind of the image I'm getting. There's a lamp, but it's not the street lamp. Oh wait, is this the door? Did not notice that. I like this soft music. Makes me think there's a party in a nearby room and you're like getting the offhand music. Oh wait, are we back at the...
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
That furniture ought to go in the center of the room. Put a giant hole in the ground. My first thought was TV, but then I'm like, okay, if we're stuck in here, we'd want food. But why would there be a hole option? Put a giant hole. It didn't give me a hole. I wanted a hole. Okay, now about along the wall. Let's put a huge picture of a horse. I'd really like a washing machine. 10 stoves lined up along the wall. Sure, let's get food in here. 10 stoves lined along the wall. Or a couch. Yeah, we can eat couches. I think we should light up this room a bit. A skylight, full ceiling window. Let's open this baby up. It's probably going to give us another couch. I'm thinking 10 by 12 recessed electric 6-inch soft LED ceiling lights with fluorescent trim. We'll put live Tesla coils in each corner. Yeah! Tesla coils. Oh yeah, look at that Tesla coil. Very well contained. And a table. You need a table. The one I'm standing on? Who are you? Where exactly are you doing this from? I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any difference. Tables were invented in 1935. I got the answer right. I got a table.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
How could it be communicating that we have excess?
Okay,
it's like you're asking and asking. It's like, okay, well, now you have too much.
This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello, please walk forward. What if I don't? Run away into the whiteness. Okay. I don't think I can move anywhere else but forward. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. Take care that you remember each step. I'll try. First, click on this table. Good. Go over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. This. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, then turn it on. You mean the Tesla coil. Now go to the left side sofa, move it over a little. This one? Left side sofa. Finally, touch the shelves. That's it! In a real prison. The escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Alright, I'll try to remember that. Return.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this. To see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
I would not have thought this was part of the prison series, but assuming everything is true that we're being told, maybe this was in a folder with the prison games? Otherwise, how would we have known this was part of the prison series? Oops. Hello? Who is this? Hey, it's me! I'm you from after- oh. That's how we know. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. You're me? So you were trapped in this prison too? Yep, I was in the furniture maze.
It's a conversation.
I was in the escape tutorial.
And so this is
prison.
what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
To the escape tutorial. That's where I am right now. Oh, I'm so glad to know that I get out eventually. What's it like to escape? Actually, I'm already forgetting what being in the prison was like. It's strange, but in a way I kind of miss being in the prison. It feels like being completely still and wildly in motion at the same time. Ah, those are all very different, and yet I assume he felt all of those. I'm so curious what he would say to himself if he did too. Why? Was there anything about it that you felt good about? Being here sucks. True, maybe I only like things once I don't have them anymore. It was comfortable. I knew its limits. I knew my place. But don't you feel excited about getting out? The promise of freedom. Damn, these are all so different and so, like, true. Like, ay. Let's go with 3. Excited? It's the only thing that matters to me. It's the only thing keeps me going. Keeping me going. Excited doesn't really do it justice. So excited I can't even read. Exactly. You have something you care about, something to look forward to. You won't always have something that you care about as much as this. Just be with that enthusiasm for a bit. Let it ooze into your flesh. Damn, man, 2 is harsh. But Oh man, when you get burnt out, you feel that. Let's see. Just be with the enthusiasm for ability. Ooh, exactly. Let's go with 1. Something to care about, something to look forward to. Wait, if you're me, then did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? No, I think I'm the first person to call back. Yes, I did get a call. That's how I escaped. Curious about 2, but what? I don't know, I kind of like the idea of 1. I'm the first person to call back. Then can you tell me how to get out? Maybe I can come find you. What do I have to do? To get out, all you have to do is be sincere. To get out, you need to tell me how you feel right now. To get out, just talk with me for a bit. 2 and 3 are very similar. 2 is more specific. Let's do that. You have to tell me how you feel right now. What? That will free me? How does that work? Listen, you can't know until you're out, but I promise it works. Just tell me how you feel. It will make sense. They're all kind of the same. Let's just... like varying degrees of gentleness. It'll all make sense. Okay. I feel afraid that nothing will ever change. Go on, go on, go on. Good, I was actually getting invested in that.
Fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
I was not expecting this game to be so raw.
Meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Hey, there's someone in here. I really like his designs. Clean. Well, my goodness, I'm glad as all heck that you showed up. Though I might be having to clean this entire house all by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy homes.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on.
Huh.
From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Don't worry about me, a place that's this nice. I'll be glad to stay here all night. And there's, you don't see it on my screen, there's like a little thing in the corner, but and lousy homes make home loners, I think is what it says. Are we cleaning this whole place? Let's go with 1, this is cozy. Don't worry about me, a place this nice, I'll be glad to stay here all night. Well, now you just might be getting a little ahead of yourself there, no? Why don't we start cleaning and then you decide whether you can do it all night? I'll finish up here. In the meantime, could you please clear the table? Sure, you seem friendly enough, stranger. Much nicer, that's the table I want to see. Now, would you please run into the bedroom and make the bed? Okay, you seem friendly enough, I'll do it. There's a bedroom. While you're in there, why don't you straighten out the rug a bit? All the little details matter. Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? How'd you end up doing this job? It's been a long time since I've seen a house this messy. 3 sounds fun, but if this is Coda talking, let's see. Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? Well, I don't enjoy it so much as I need it. While I'm working, I can't fix that. I feel kind of calm. I rest in the pit of my rib cage. My soul just can't be soothed any other way, it seems. Which I guess is about all that matters. Oh, that and a tatty couch. Would you straighten the pillows on the sofa out there? Oh dear, looks like someone spilled a drink over by the couch. Maybe mop that up as long as you're over there. I feel compelled to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. You okay with that? Make it especially cheesy. Yeah, I'll try to get by. Do you absolutely have to? No, make it as cheesy as you can, man. Lay it on me, dude. Cut the cheese. Nah. No, it was stupid. Sorry. Never mind. Hey, these dishes need to be washed. Why don't you come do that? No, talk to me more. There. Okay, tell me the story now. The cheese. Last I checked, the tub needed cleaning. How about you scrub it down as best you can? No need to be perfect. We're all just human. I'm a vampire. Are there still books scattered on the floor of the bedroom? If so, would you put them back on the shelf? Oh, now it's all clean. Perfect. Now then, how about you come and clean these
After
dishes off the
intense set
table?
of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Yeah, now that he mentions it, this following the prison games, like, there's just something so, like, warming about it. House cleaning is so difficult. How do you do it? Are all houses this easy to clean? Do these chores ever end? How about are all houses these easy to clean? Darling, let me tell you something. In your lifetime, you are going to clean a lot of houses, and among all of those, a few of them will stick out as truly wonderful, beautiful experiences, and none of them will be the ones that were easy. Just something to think about while you smooth out the rug in the bedroom.
Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was, like, grossly happy all the time. Just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Earlier, when I said I had a really cheesy thought, I was going to say that it occurs to me that one's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it, and it takes care of you. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. I get it. That's a weird thing to say to someone you just met. Yeah, you're right, that's pretty cheesy. There's a bit of truth in it now. I want to say too, I don't know if he's going to take it as an insult or not. Yeah, I feel like we can josh around. Yeah, that was pretty cheesy, but I liked it. Dude, you better not get mad at me. Anyway. So. Housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books, would you please clean up the books? Thanks. I hope he's not going to stop talking to me. I interpreted it as like joshing around with him. Ay. Oh goodness, those pillows over on the couch are a real mess.
I'm glad he found some peace.
Question.
But,
Do you enjoy
of course,
this?
it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill.
Ah, I'm getting a delivery. Let me mute. I'm back. Okay. I think I'll put this on my YouTube channel. I will seamlessly edit this out if I can. Alright.
Hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
I almost forgot about the dark place outside. It's a very cozy house, and the music too. Hey, our lamppost.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
Items you love at
This
members
one
only
gets
prices.
a bit goofy.
Why did you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. You came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am right now. Who do you think about that way in your life? Who do you know who is so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself, compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful? I intend to make you into that person. Perfection is within your grasp. And the question is not how do we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly. This is easy. It is so easy. It is so easy.
About halfway through the game, the
Being
perspective
perfect is
shifts.
effortless. What the frick? Was not expecting that. This
And you
is...
play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Huh. This is the key. How do I achieve it with no effort? On the way... Or do I have to start at the top? Oh, interesting. I'm just delivering the lecture. Oh wait, or can I use the other options? How do I achieve? Oh, frick. 2 and 3 are what he's thinking. I should have paid attention to those more. Frick, well, you guys could see it and pause. I wish I had paid attention to that. Well, let me tell you right now, if it isn't effortless, then it's not the right answer. Told you there's a thing on my screen and it's hard to read. Something just... Oh my god. I can barely read what 2 is, but you guys can. Being alone must be awful. Thank goodness all of you perceive me as being wise and intelligent. Drinking is not hurting my life. If you are torturing yourself trying to find the right solutions for your life, you're not doing it right. Do you understand that you won't be happy until you love me? This is for you. You, I'm developing a cyst grows. Seek out only one thing. What is the easiest, simplest path forward? Just kidding! I can't read number 2 very well. Something, so... Oh god, I really can't read 2. There is no truth. There is no path. What if I'm not a good teacher? Holy shit, you guys, something is coming out of the back of the room. Look, do what is easiest. Do what is simplest. Feel what is true. Nothing. No one, everyone run, run!
I felt pretty hard for this one.
Perfect.
I feel like it's one of the most relatable
perfect.
experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
Bro, I feel that so much.
I think about this game a lot these days.
There's so many friends where, like
This one took a lot longer than
I want to speak. So I feel like with that, with a lot of friends, where like there are people where when I met them, I'm like, wow, this person is so put together. And as I get to know them, I'm like, wow, this person's a mess, but I still love them. But like, it is interesting. Like, as you get to know a person, as you get to become better friends with someone, initially you're like, this person's so cool and put together, I want to be friends with them. And then you're like, this person's really cool, they're a hot mess, and I still want to be friends with them. But it is interesting. Like, the better you get to know someone, the more you're like, wow, we're all hot messes.
than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Wow, this is very detailed. I want to go on the stage first. Nice. Okay. Something tells me they want us to explore backstage. Can I go up the ladder? Probably not. Nope. Maybe I am supposed to go to stage. Fuck, I was expecting that and that still scared me. Alright, the performance is beginning. Places, please. In this scene, you will be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start out leaning against this wall. Which wall? There's so many walls. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Good. Stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, to succeed. Go on, say something to her. Wise. She is wise. She is happy. She is focused. She is successful. Hello, sorry I have to leave. Where's the bathroom? Number 2, like, thinking back to Mass Effect. I love how, especially in the beginning of the series, like, it's funny that Mass Effect relies so heavily on dialogue, and yet to end dialogue, there are so many times where Shepard's like, I have to go. Very unceremoniously. Where's the bathroom? What are you doing? You're deflecting. You're not saying what's actually on your mind. Stop dancing around it and have a conversation with this person. Do it again. I have to pee. I'm super, super scared right now. I like you. Here are all of my hopes and dreams. I like you. No, 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 that's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of this conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There were a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them will represent the people nearby. Now talk to her again. You must have worked really hard to get where you are. I bet you've learned to lean into the pain. What are some sacrifices you've had to make? These are all interesting ones to go with. You must have worked really hard. What about 3? What are sacrifices you had to make? All of them seemed good. You're messing it all up again. Okay, I guess 1 would have been more proper, but I feel like all of them were saying the same thing, more or less. You freak her out if the conversation gets that personal. Okay, I guess. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. It was too fast for me to get the last one. And I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. Wait, did it end already? Is it possible to perfectly pass that one? Because I did choose some of the sillier options, but... the last one, I'm like, I thought all of these were good options. Do I keep going? Do I keep going? I thought the lamppost was supposed to be the end of each game. I guess I could keep going. Okay, yep, I guess. Okay, yes, now this is working. This is what it was like.
Of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to
it's perfect, wonderful. This is really wonderful.
And having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago.
You're doing great.
Where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Mobius Strip, to play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. What? Seriously? Is it all audio-based? I mean, I guess I'll try that. Unless it's visually distracting. Wait, I can't. What? I can't play this with my eyes closed. Something enormous just appeared on the radar. I can't die like this. I can't. I'm blind. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. What's going on? Please, someone talk to me. Please tell me how to solve this. Please don't let this be forever. Wait.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise.
Oh.
And there is a solution, by the way.
Okay, I was wondering if the solution was to not respond to anything, to actually close your eyes and not respond to anything. What's going on? Please, someone talk to me. Oh, they're blind. Wait a minute. What's going on? Ah, that's so they actually don't know what's going on. Okay, I can't talk to them. There's research. There's a giant door, then my vision went blank. I'm gonna crash. Wait, they're blind too. Can't you do something? I need to find my supplies. Is there someone who's not blind here? Help, I can't see anything. Okay, what's going on? Was the only not blind person this guy? Please don't let this be forever. Oh, he's blind and he's research. Okay. Are you blind in something else? No, you're just blind and blind. Can I get up there? Help, I'm blind. I don't know if I've done that one yet. Ah, it is an elevator. Truth. The only way to stop it is to speak something that is honest. I am bursting with creative energy. No, no, that isn't truthful. Wait, what? Is that implying that Coda didn't think that was truthful? Because after making all these games... Oh god. What is going on?
Alright, let me explain how you're supposed to do this. On either side of the room are elevators, which go up to an upper level.
Your work is always
you
fun.
have to go up, walk over to the person
No,
who's
that isn't
standing
truthful.
there, and then select dialogue option number 2.
Oh. 2 seemed the most, like, avoiding of the question. And it doesn't even let me respond again. 2 seemed like it was dodging the question to me. What's going on? Okay, say something that is truthful. I can't- oh, interesting. So that's how he genuinely felt, I guess. Yes, that's it! That's the truth! I don't feel it anymore.
Like I said, I
I'm
was
out of
getting
ideas.
concerned.
It's draining me.
First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking.
Keep going, keep
where's
talking.
That coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Ah. I'm almost surprised he did do something new, given that last one. Hello? Where am I? What is this? Hello? It's pretty. Where did this island come from? How do I get out of here? Hello? Is anyone there? Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. I'm completely out of ideas. When I try to create, it feels empty. I feel empty. I have nothing left to give to my work. Oh no! What's happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. What? You have to take me to it. I need to see it to know why it stopped. I can take you to it, but there's a problem.
Featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations. This one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
I can take you to it, but there's a problem. It's guarded by a difficult puzzle. If you can help me solve the puzzle, we'll find the machine. Deal? Deal, deal. It doesn't matter what I say, does it? We're gonna end up there one way or another, right? Wait, I chose 3 and it said deal. Pretty sure I chose 3. Perfect. Come along, I'll show it to you.
Because from my perspective at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Hey, I recognize this. I've solved it before. It's easy. Oh, wonderful. Can you tell me how to do it? First you have to close the door, first you have to open the door, first you press the switch. I guess first you have to... Wait. I guess first you have to open the door? There we go. Okay, now what? Now you have to close the first door. Now you have to open the first door. Now you have this. And now we have to close the first door. What happens if I give a wrong answer? Alright, what's next? What happens if I give the wrong answer? Now just close the first door. It's already closed, though. Right, so just press the switch here. Huh, that was so simple. Can't believe I never solved it before this.
Loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers.
Okay,
then
here
there's
we
no
are.
movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
Oh, so I think, are these specifically the options I chose? Interesting, that sounds like crying, but feminine crying, but crying. What are you talking about? There is no machine here. These are just words on some walls. Trust me, you'll see. You have to say that your work is fun and easy. You have to say that game development is simple and joyous and that you love it 100% of the time. Okay, making games is simple. Sure, making games is easy. Alright, making games is effortless. Look at that, sure. Ah, that feels wonderful. But it wasn't true. Why did the walls just crumble? Why did I feel so awful when I said that? Don't worry about it. Just keep talking. Keep saying that creation is easy. When I make games, I feel completely energized. I'm constantly excited and enthusiastic about my work. It is easy. It never stops being easy. Yes, that's wonderful. Keep going.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering.
Every time I make something, I feel better about myself. Just never stop creating and you'll never feel bad. It's such a simple solution. Perfect.
This is
That
someone I
felt
really cared
fantastic.
about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
Where's the machine? Patience, you have to trust me. I promise this will work. Please continue. Pain breezes effortlessly off me. Any sacrifices made for my work are worth it 100% of the time. It always pays off eventually.
I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't
Yes,
know how
more.
else
Keep
to
going.
explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
There is no shame, no fear, no guilt. I will be saved by my work. I believe this unquestionably. I am a vessel for certainty. Ah. Interesting. Incredible, that's it. I'm free. I'm free. Interesting.
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
Very interesting how that one ended so abruptly. Or at least they edited it to cut off so abruptly. The machine. Guard. I'm glad to see you've arrived safely. We've captured the machine. It's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. So I just assumed Coda was a guy. And then I'm like, oh, that's like feminine crying. But now I'm like, wait. Is Coda a girl, or is just their representation in the game feminine? Anyhow. I intend to be quick, I intend to be quiet, I intend to be brutal. I intend to be quick. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing that you should know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. I am not going to read all of that.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stopped. You stopped feeding us. Your work was keeping us alive. Your work was keeping us healthy. Let's go with you stopped feeding us. Those people out there, can you imagine what pain you've put them through? It was only because of your creations that any of us could make it through the every day. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? How about this for a start? You need to go to the people who are out there and apologize to them. You have to admit to the people that you allowed them to suffer. I've been so alone. Apologize for leaving me. No, nothing. Think carefully. I know how to hurt you. I have seen the thing you fear. But I know how to hurt you. Alright then. I will apologize to the people on your behalf. My followers, my friends. Let's go with my followers. It falls on me to deliver bad news. I have a troubling revelation. The machine will not apologize to us. The machine refuses to admit that it deliberately hurt us. Now this is not important. We are stronger than it thinks we are. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us pay it retribution. Let us show it that we are not failures. Follow me! We will destroy the machine. Follow me! We will destroy everything that the machine has created. Ah, those are both very... Ah. We will destroy the machine! It's interesting that the other option would be destroy what it created after having played through everything that it created. But it is sending us to one of the creations, arguably, the stage. God! Oh! I can actually destroy... I guess I wonder if either option would have taken me here. Interesting, it doesn't destroy the floor. And it destroys everything else.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for it? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
Oh, interesting. This is the room that had all his ideas. Like, on one hand, I'm surprised he would touch this one, but at the same time, given the mindset, I'm not surprised this is one of the options.
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
Put down your weapon.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy.
It's an interesting scene to juxtapose that on.
So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look. And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game. This room actually has a maze in it.
Okay.
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Interesting. I thought he might show what the maze looked like. I thought he meant the scenery of a maze, but there's an actual maze too.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
The spite.
The
I don't know
only
what I
way
feel.
past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
Curious to look it up later. To what extent is what we're being told genuine? And to what extent is all of this just a narrative that was created for the game? Because it sounds very genuine, especially having us play through everything and having a story to all of it. I'll be curious to look that up later as well, and maybe add in the description. Okay. Oh god, this game is so raw. Like, between me, relating to some of it, or having friends. Not having friends, having friends that it reminds me of.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first two challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
There's the switch.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean.
Oh yeah, I noticed that
And he
trend.
wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
Dear Davy, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me
I'm the
anymore.
reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did.
What did he do besides encouraging him? Does he feel like he over-encouraged him? Like, it makes me question to what extent was this narrative, because a lot of this felt so genuine, but like, if they were as close as they were, like one friend's encouraging the other, at some point wouldn't the other person be like, hey, because you're my good friend, I can tell you this, please stop encouraging me to do this? But maybe because they were good friends, he felt bad saying that, but then this just seems so harsh to do it and then be like, okay, bye forever. Like, huh.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
I wonder at times whether you think I am making these games for you.
The people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
You've so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere, hidden between games. If there was an answer, a meaning, would it make you any happier? Maybe he was just overbearing on this dude. Would you stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes? Giving them something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps me safe. Okay. To what extent this narrative is truthful or not, I feel like I relate to that so much. Of having friends and peers who were like, hey, because we're close and you're sharing this stuff with me because we're close, that means I can share it with other people. I have had that happen where I have shared very personal things with people, been very specific, like, hey, I'm sharing this with you because it's you, please don't go sharing this with others. And they've been like, yeah, sure, and then shared it with others. And not like games, just like personal stuff in general. So like violating the one boundary that keeps me safe, like, I feel that. Again, I don't know to what extent this is true, but like, I can see where Coda's coming from. Like, you want to keep relationships, especially when they've lasted so long. But if the other person can't respect boundaries, there's only so long they'll last. Which makes me think, oh god, of another story. I don't know if I should share it. Just, I guess I'll summarize it in a nutshell. There was an ex-friend who, like, showed a lot of very worrisome things, said very worrisome things, like, I won't go into all of it because that would be a very long time, but I have shared things that this person did and said, and other people have reacted, oh my god, have you reported him to the police? Because he was low-key kind of stalkerish. Anyhow. And, like, it felt weird. Like, I felt weird that it was so hard to cut him out of my life because I had known him for so long, because we had socialized so well. Like, he'd met members of my family, and, like, what's ironic, this person I'm talking about is the one who said this to me. Like, it almost feels like you're losing or wasting the effort that you have invested in the relationship when you cut it off like that. And, like, sometimes I think he said stuff like that to me to guilt me into not doing stuff like that, because, like, I did agree. Like, it felt like I was wasting all the time that I had known him. Like, it was like a waste to have introduced him to my family and such, but after a point, it's like, You don't respect me. I need you out of my life. Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them. Would you simply let them be what they are?
And I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all.
When I am around you, I feel physically
Less
ill.
than nothing. What does that mean?
You desperately need something, and I cannot give it to you. I literally do not have... Fuck, man. That person I was just talking about. Holy crap, man. Like, I feel this. Like, I feel like that person was so obsessed with me because he thought he could change me to be what he wanted me to be. And it's like, I can't give you that. Like, I do not have it. Just move on or accept that I'm not the person you want me to be. Struggling to come up with these new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just a part of the process. The fact that you think I am frustrated or broken says more about you than me. I realize that this doesn't make sense to you just yet. Which is fine. You're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks and that you make peace with this thing you are wrestling. Okay, I thought this was Coda speaking to the narrator. Now it sounds like it's the narrator dissing on Coda.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
And when you finally see what I am talking about, don't say anything. I think these are all left by Coda. But it sounds like it could be the two of them arguing with each other now.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself.
Just
Please.
realize the space is getting smaller.
I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Epilogue. And at first I was all bummed out thinking Coda died. Like, I thought he might have killed himself. But man, the feels still hit hard, realizing just how toxic that relationship was, whether or not it was a real or narrative relationship. I'm so curious once I finish the game to look up if this is actually based on a true story.
More.
True relationship, whatever.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more.
It's starting to feel much more just narrative now,
like
given the end. I just have to keep exploring till I find the end. Oh. There's a door.
Solution.
If this is a true story, it is kind of messed up, the guy
I
releasing
guess
the
if
work.
someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Anyhow, fun game, but if you did release it without the other guy's permission, it's like, dude, he told you explicitly not to release it. But I thought if he died, okay, that's another thing, if you're releasing it to honor the death of someone.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Is there anything? Oh god. I guess, is that the end of it? There's more!
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
Interesting, because as... I'm going to pause real quick. As a voiceover artist, like, I have had other, like, classmates and peers who've had agreed, like, there are times where, on the opposite end, we almost feel guilty and arrogant for doing a recording or an audition and listening to it and being like, wow, I sounded great in that. That was a really good take. And I remember it came up with the class once and someone brought that up to our teacher. We're like, is this bad? Are we getting too egotistical? Do we need to take a step back? And our teacher was like, no, like having that internal validation, having that confidence is so important in this field. So like, I certainly feed off of external validation, but it's kind of weird how, like, we're almost primed to think, like, oh, we can't be too proud and arrogant of our own work, but internal validation is also very important. Like, sometimes I do hear an audition, and I'm like, I might not have gotten this role, gotten this gig, but I really liked that audition, and that's something I could use. That's a voice I could use in future projects.
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
So is that telling us that we just lost our narrator? Feel compelled to walk through all the arcs. Okay, I think I have to go through the hole. Interesting, some segments it feels like the walking speed is faster than others. Like, there's the crawl, but besides that, there are moments where it feels like you're faster in some areas, slower than others. This reminds me of a game, it's on my YouTube channel, that's called A Very Long Hallway. And it's almost comical compared to this one. This one's much more reflective. The other one's just a very simple experimental piece someone uploaded. This one's really... it's different, but reminds me a lot of that. There's the beam! Alright, I guess that's where that ends. It's very scenic. Interesting, if you look up, it doesn't look like... oh, because probably the floor is receding from us. I guess we're fixed because the upper part isn't. Random fact that I remember learning that this reminds me of, at least as of a few years ago when I read that fact. Apparently, if the human brain were a computer, the circuit board would be the size of Los Angeles, which, if no one's been to Los Angeles before, it is a very wide, spread out city. I think it more or less has the population of New York, but spread across miles and miles. So. Anyhow, that just reminded me of that. I felt compelled to share that little fact. The maze made me think that. Okay, I need to look up right now if this was based on a true story. Okay, well, looking at it right now, just started reading up, it is written by a Davy. That's co-written by a dude named William, but Davy, who we saw being addressed at the end, is one of the writers. Let's see, what else does it say? I think it's fiction. Like, it feels so raw and true until the end, then I'm like, okay, this seems a little too... like, the kind of dialogue in the tower, it seemed a little too pointed. And, like, if these dudes were really as close as they were, I feel like it shouldn't have reached that heated of a moment at the end of their friendship. So, between that, like, just how, like, I don't know, almost artificial the dialogue in the tower felt, and just me skimming the Wikipedia page, I do believe this is fiction. But until the end, I valued how raw and genuine it felt. Like, I genuinely believed the narrative until the end. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, this seems a little forced now. But for a fictitious dialogue and story and narrative, that was very well done. And oh man, I related to parts of it in ways I was not expecting. So there we go. I finished the game in one sitting, and will potentially put this on YouTube. And for those who joined, who will watch the stream, I hope you enjoyed it. Alright, catch y'all some other time.